Most entrepreneurs believe that working harder is the ultimate key to success. But what if I told you that working less when done God's way can lead to more freedom, more impact, and more profit? Most business owners get stuck in a cycle of busyness, chained to their desks, while God is calling them to build something greater, a Christian business that thrives without them. This isn't just a theory, it's the difference between surviving and stepping into your divine assignment. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Many Christian entrepreneurs unknowingly build businesses that trap them. They pray for financial breakthrough, but refuse to create systems that reflect God's order. Have you ever wondered why some companies flourish while others, even with passionate leaders, collapse? It's not just about talent or luck, it's about alignment with biblical principles that never fail. This guide is not another self-help pep talk. It's a kingdom blueprint that blends the hard-hitting lessons of the E-Myth with the timeless wisdom of Scripture. From Solomon's strategies for wealth to Jesus' lessons on stewardship, you'll discover how to make money while creating a godly business that glorifies Him and gives you your time back. And yes, that's possible. What if you could step out of the daily grind and still watch your business grow? Imagine having systems, leaders, and financial streams running smoothly, giving you freedom to focus on your calling and your family. Isn't that what true success looks like? It's time to stop building on sand and start building on the unshakable foundation of God's Word. So, are you prepared to find out how to create a godly business that not only makes money, but also thrives even when you're not present? Let's dive in, because what's coming next will shift how you see business forever. What makes a business truly kingdom in God's eyes? A kingdom business is not just about profits. It's about purpose that aligns with God's will. It's a business where every decision, from hiring to marketing, flows out of biblical values and a desire to honor God. This type of Christian business stands apart because it sees money not as the ultimate goal, but as a tool to build something eternal. When Jesus said, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you," Matthew 6:33. He wasn't giving a suggestion, he was laying out the foundation for any godly business. Think about it. Many companies grow fast but collapse just as quickly because they chase trends instead of truth. A kingdom business operates differently. It understands that God is the ultimate CEO, and the owner is just a steward of the vision. This changes everything from how you treat your employees to how you price your products. Imagine running a bakery where every loaf sold reminds you of Jesus breaking bread with His disciples. That's not just making money, it's making impact. Another thing that sets a kingdom business apart is its willingness to serve first. Great Christian entrepreneurs know that success isn't about being the loudest or the flashiest. It's about solving real problems with humility and excellence. Proverbs 22:29 says, "Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings." Excellence opens doors that marketing can't. A godly business focuses on mastering its craft while leaving space for God's favor to move. Practical example? Chick-fil-A is often cited because they're closed on Sundays to honor God. Yet, they consistently outperform competitors who work 7 days a week. That's the power of a kingdom mindset. It's not just about profit margins, it's about divine principles that attract blessings. If you want your business to thrive, ask yourself, where is God in my business plan? Is He an afterthought or the cornerstone? Here's the truth. God cares about how you make money. He's not impressed by numbers alone. He's looking at the heart behind the hustle. If your business model compromises biblical integrity, it's like building a house on sand. But when you align your strategy with Scripture serving others, practicing honesty, sowing generously, you're building on rock. And storms will come, but your foundation will stand. This is just the beginning. Understanding what makes a business truly kingdom sets the stage for a bigger question. Why do so many Christian entrepreneurs, even with good intentions, still struggle or fail? That's where we dive next. Why most Christian entrepreneurs fail without God's blueprint. Many Christian entrepreneurs start with passion, but lack God's strategic blueprint. Passion is powerful, but without divine direction, it's like sailing without a map. Proverbs 19:21 reminds us, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." A Christian business that doesn't seek God first often chases trends, burns out, or falls into financial traps because it leans on human wisdom instead of heaven's strategy. The truth is, the business world is fierce, and relying only on good intentions won't make money or sustain growth. A godly business must balance prayer with practical planning. For example, Joseph didn't just interpret Pharaoh's dream, designed a 7-year strategy to store grain and save a nation. Many Christian entrepreneurs fail because they pray for miracles, but don't create systems to handle blessings when they arrive. Another common pitfall is ignoring biblical financial principles. Debt traps, poor stewardship, and lack of generosity are silent killers of Christian businesses. Deuteronomy 28 promises blessings for obedience, but it also warns of curses for mismanagement and disobedience. A godly business that prioritizes fast cash over faith-driven ethics may see short-term gains, but will miss God's lasting favor. Think of how many companies collapse after scandals. Integrity matters more than hustle. Then there's the problem of wearing every hat in the business. Many Christian entrepreneurs confuse hard work with God's work, thinking that grinding longer hours will prove their faith. But Psalm 127:1 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain." Overworking without spiritual alignment only leads to burnout, family neglect, and resentment. God's blueprint includes rest, delegation, and trust in His timing. Another reason for failure is fear of scaling, fear of hiring, or fear of taking bold, faith-driven steps. The enemy uses fear to paralyze Christian entrepreneurs, making them settle for small when God called them to be a city on a hill. Joshua 1-9 says, "Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." A kingdom entrepreneur must move forward even when the path is unclear, knowing God's presence guarantees success. Understanding these reasons for failure is the first step toward breakthrough. But once you know why most Christian businesses crumble, you can rebuild on the right foundation. And that's where we'll uncover how the E-myth and the Bible intersect to help you create systems that don't just work, they thrive. The E-myth revisited. Biblical principles for building systems that work. The core message of the E-myth is simple yet profound. Most businesses fail because their owners spend too much time working in the business rather than on it. Now, imagine blending this with God's wisdom. A Christian business that operates without systems is like a church without structure. It might have faith, but it won't have fruit. 1 Corinthians 14:40 says, "Let all things be done decently and in order." Systems create order, and order attracts God's favor. Think about how God built creation, day by day, with structure, sequence, and purpose. He didn't create everything at once. He followed a divine plan. A godly business should do the same. If you want to make money consistently, you need repeatable processes that work even when you're not present. Just like the Israelites gathered manna daily, your business must have systems that gather income while you focus on vision and prayer. Here's a practical tip. Start by documenting everything. Whether it's how you onboard a client, manage inventory, or handle finances, write it down and create a standard. This transforms your business from personality-driven to process-driven. For instance, if you run a Christian cafe, have a step-by-step guide for recipes, customer service, and cash flow. These small steps align with Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. Many Christian entrepreneurs resist this because they see structure as unspiritual, but that's a dangerous mindset. Even Jesus delegated. He sent the disciples out 2 by 2, giving them clear instructions. Mark 6-7. He had systems for teaching, healing, and spreading the gospel. If the Son of God used structure to expand His mission, why should we think our businesses can thrive without them? Systems are not a lack of faith, they are an expression of wisdom. Technology can also be part of your godly business systems. Automating emails, scheduling social media, and setting up financial dashboards aren't just business hacks, they're ways of stewarding time. Ephesians 5:16 says, "Make the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil." Using modern tools wisely allows you to focus on what only you can do: leading, praying, and casting vision for the future. Once these systems are in place, your business stops depending solely on your presence. And that's when the magic happens. You go from being a stressed-out operator to a kingdom-minded leader. But creating systems is just one step. The next challenge is learning how to make money without being chained to your own business. That's where we're heading next. How to make money without being chained to your Christian business. The true goal of a kingdom entrepreneur isn't just to make money, but to build a godly business that provides freedom and impact. Many business owners become prisoners of their own success. They work longer hours than their employees, thinking that hustle equals holiness. But Jesus said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30. If your business is draining your joy, it's time to realign it with God's rhythm of rest and stewardship. Making money without being chained starts with building income streams that don't require your constant presence. Think of Proverbs 31-16, where the virtuous woman considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She's investing, creating systems, and leveraging her resources wisely. For modern entrepreneurs, this might mean automated sales funnels, digital products, or investing in businesses that reflect kingdom values. Another principle is learning to delegate. Moses tried to carry the weight of an entire nation until his father-in-law, Jethro, told him to appoint capable leaders. Exodus 18:17-23. Likewise, a Christian business grows stronger when you trust others to carry the vision with you. Hiring, training, and empowering a team that shares your biblical values allows you to step back and focus on growth rather than daily operations. Passive income is another key to freedom. Real estate, dividend-paying stocks, or even a well-structured online course can generate income while you sleep. The key is to avoid get-rich-quick schemes and instead build long-term, God-honoring assets. Ecclesiastes 11:2 advises, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Diversifying income streams isn't just smart, it's biblical. Of course, financial freedom doesn't come without discipline. A godly business that makes money without draining its owner is built on strong financial management, budgeting, reinvesting profits, and avoiding debt whenever possible. Think of Joseph in Egypt, who stored grain during good years so the nation could survive famine. If you manage cash flow with the same foresight, your business will flourish even in economic storms. But here's the twist. True financial freedom isn't just about systems or investment sites, about trust. Do you believe God can bless your efforts even when you step away? The next step is learning the art of stewardship and leadership, raising a team that can run the vision while you focus on the calling. That's where we'll go next. Stewardship and leadership, raising a team that runs the vision. True stewardship in a Christian business isn't just about money, it's about people. God entrusts leaders with talents, resources, and teams, expecting them to multiply and manage these blessings wisely. Jesus illustrated this in the parable of the talents, Matthew 25-14-30, showing that faithful stewardship leads to greater responsibility and reward. A godly business owner must see employees not as workers, but as co-laborers in a divine mission, each with gifts that need cultivating. Leadership in a kingdom context is servant leadership. Jesus washed his disciples' feet, teaching that greatness is found in serving others. John 13:12-15. A Christian business thrives when the leader empowers others instead of hoarding control. This means training your team to think and act like owners, giving them the tools and authority to make wise decisions. When people feel trusted and valued, they go beyond tasks, they carry the vision as if it were their own. A practical way to raise such a team is through intentional mentorship. Hold regular meetings where you share not just business goals, but biblical principles that shape your mission. Proverbs 27-17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Create a culture where faith and excellence meet, where prayer is as normal as performance reviews. This will cultivate a team that's aligned both spiritually and professionally. Delegation is another cornerstone of stewardship. Moses learned this from Jethro, who advised him to appoint capable leaders over smaller groups, freeing Moses to focus on higher-level vision. Exodus 18:17-23. As a kingdom entrepreneur, you can't do it all. Train leaders within your company who can replicate your standards and values. This not only lightens your load but ensures the business remains stable even if you step back. Financial stewardship also plays a role in team building. Offer fair wages, create incentive programs, and invest in your team's personal growth. When people know they're being treated with fairness and respect, they respond with loyalty and excellence. Remember Colossians 4:1, "Masters, provide your slaves with what is right and fair, because you know that you also have a master in heaven." Leadership without integrity is empty. When you build a team that understands the vision and values of your godly business, something powerful happens. The business can run without you being involved in every detail. But this requires systems that don't depend on a single persona theme. That leads us to the next step, creating systems that grow even when you're not present. The Biblical Wealth Code. Lessons from Solomon, Joseph, and Jesus. Solomon, known as the wisest and wealthiest king, understood that true wealth begins with wisdom. In 1 Kings 3-9-13, God granted him riches and honor because he first asked for discernment. A Christian business can make money, but without God's wisdom, it will eventually crumble. The biblical wealth code starts with prioritizing wisdom over wealth-seeking God's principles before pursuing profits. Wisdom attracts abundance. Foolishness repels it. Joseph's story is another blueprint for a godly business. He rose from being a prisoner to managing the economy of Egypt by applying divine strategy. Joseph's 7-year plan of saving grain during abundance allowed Egypt to thrive during famine. Genesis 41-33-36. This teaches Christian entrepreneurs the value of strategic planning, saving, and preparing for seasons of scarcity. Wealth isn't built by accident. It's built by foresight and obedience to God's voice. Jesus also spoke extensively about stewardship and wealth. In Luke 16:10, he said, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." This principle challenges entrepreneurs to manage small resources faithfully before expecting major breakthroughs. Whether it's a small startup or a large Christian business, excellence and integrity in the small things open doors for greater opportunities. The biblical wealth code also includes generosity. Solomon wrote in Proverbs 11:24, "One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty." Generosity breaks the cycle of greed and opens the flow of God's blessings. Kingdom entrepreneurs who tithe, give to missions, or support community projects often see supernatural provision. Giving is not losing, it's planting seed for greater harvests. Another key lesson from these biblical figures is patience. Wealth built hastily often fades, but wealth built on God's principles endures. Ecclesiastes 7-8 says, "The end of a matter is better than its beginning, and patience is better than pride." Like Joseph's years of preparation, true financial growth requires time, testing, and trust in God's timing. Christian entrepreneurs must avoid the trap of chasing instant success at the cost of long-term impact. Understanding these lessons from Solomon, Joseph, and Jesus creates a foundation for sustainable wealth. But principles alone are not enough. We must translate them into practical systems that work. The next step is discovering how to create systems that keep growing even when you're not present. How to create systems that keep growing even when you're not present. A kingdom business that thrives without constant oversight is built on systems, not just personalities. If your company collapses the moment you take a vacation, you don't own a business, you own a job. Proverbs 24:3-4 says, "By wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures." Systems are that wisdom in action, ensuring your Christian business can make money consistently and ethically. The first step is automating what can be automated. This doesn't mean removing the human touch, but streamlining repetitive tasks. For example, online booking systems, automated email responses, and digital accounting tools free up time for strategy and prayer. Think of Joseph's grain storage plan in Egypt. It was essentially a large-scale system that ran on clear instructions, allowing Egypt to flourish while others suffered famine. Documentation is the backbone of systems. Write down every critical process: show products are made, how clients are onboarded, and how quality is maintained. Imagine McDonald's. No matter where you go, the taste is the same because their systems don't depend on one-star employee. A godly business should have the same consistency, reflecting the principle in 1 Corinthians 14:33. "For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace." Training your team is equally important. A system is useless if the people running it don't understand its purpose. Teach your staff not just the how, but the why, grounding their actions in biblical principles of integrity and service. When your team knows the mission, they can operate effectively without needing your constant oversight, much like the disciples who carried out Jesus' ministry when he wasn't physically present. Another powerful system is financial forecasting and budgeting. Automating cash flow tracking, setting up profit margins, and preparing for taxes are all forms of stewardship that honor God. Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." When your business finances run like a well-oiled machine, you can focus on growing the vision rather than putting out fires. Once these systems are in place, your business can function as a kingdom engine that keeps moving forward with or without you. But systems are only part of the story. The ultimate goal is to leave a legacy, to build something that impacts lives for generations to come. That's where we're heading next. Leaving a legacy. How to build a godly business that thrives without you. A true kingdom business doesn't die. When its founder steps back, it flourishes because its roots go deeper than one person's efforts. Psalm 112:5-6 says, "Good will come to those who are generous and lend freely, who conduct their affairs with justice. Surely the righteous will never be shaken. They will be remembered forever." Building a legacy means creating something that not only makes money today, but impacts lives for years to come. Legacy starts with vision. What will your business stand for when you're no longer in the room? A Christian business built on fleeting trends won't stand the test of time, but one built on biblical values, integrity, generosity, and service will leave a mark. Think of companies like Hobby Lobby or Chick-fil-A. They're known not just for products, but for the faith-driven principles that guide every decision. Succession planning is another key element. Solomon inherited David's vision and expanded it, not by chance but through careful mentorship and preparation. In the same way, a godly business must prepare the next generation of leaders. Whether they're family members or trained employees, the goal is to pass on wisdom, systems, and spiritual foundations so the mission outlives the founder. Another way to build a lasting legacy is through impact. Are you reinvesting profits into causes that matter, missions, charities, or community development? Kingdom wealth is never just about accumulation. It's about transformation. Matthew 6:20 reminds us to store up treasures in heaven, which means using resources in ways that carry eternal value. This is how your business becomes a vessel of lasting influence. Practical steps can include setting up trusts, foundations, or scholarship programs that align with your Christian values. These not only protect your wealth, but ensure that it continues to serve God's purposes even after you're gone. Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." That inheritance isn't just financial, it's spiritual, cultural, and moral. At the end of the day, leaving a legacy means your business becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness. It tells future generations, this is what happens when you build with God's blueprint. But a vision this big requires prayer, surrender, and a powerful dedication to place everything in His hands. You've just seen that building a Christian business isn't about chasing money, it's about aligning with God's design so that abundance flows naturally. The principles of stewardship, leadership, and biblical systems are not theory. They are practical, life-changing truths. So I ask you, what is one area of your business where you've been relying on your own strength instead of God's wisdom? Because real transformation begins the moment you stop pretending you can do it all alone. Here's the challenge. Are you willing to let go of the hustle mentality and start building with kingdom principles? Are you ready to trust God enough to create a business that thrives without you being there every second? If you answered yes, then the time to act is now. Don't wait for a crisis to force you to change step into God's blueprint today, and watch what happens when faith meets strategy. Write in the comments, "God is my CEO, and I trust His timing." And watch how this powerful declaration begins to shift the course of your business and your finances from this day forward. Your calling is bigger than your fears, and your business can be a testimony of what happens when you partner with heaven. But none of this matters if you don't take action. Apply these principles, review your systems, and start sowing into a future that reflects the kingdom. You're not called to survive, you're called to multiply. If this message has touched your heart, consider supporting our ministry through the link in the description. Subscribe to our channel and activate the notifications so you can continue learning how to build a godly business that makes money and impacts lives.